All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining our session today. My name is Madison Garni. I'm a consultant here at RIB Software, and I'll be discussing bridging the gap between 2D and 3D BIM. So, like I said, I work here at RIB Software's makers of iTWO, costX, and a couple other softwares that we have. So I'll be taking you through this. Certainly feel free to ask some questions on the chat down there or come by our booth later on, and you can certainly discuss with me and then a couple other members of our team. So here's just a little bit of background information, and you can see some worldwide users that we have. So on the map, you can see we've got some global users all around the world in blue, and then a list of countries that we actually have users in at the bottom there. So quite a few in that list. We also have 9 offices worldwide, one here in Austin, where I'm based out of in Texas, and then also others in London, Dubai, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, Brisbane, Sydney, and lastly, Auckland, New Zealand. A little bit of background on our product. iTWO costX offers the ability to have an all-in-one solution. So this means that you're going to get both 2D and 3D takeoff. You can combine them both. We'll get into that certainly a little bit in this session. And then also we do have estimating and reporting capabilities. So this allows for a little more seamless transition from part to part within the project itself. Having everything in one location allows for greater optimization of your processes in place, increased transparency, which allows for a reduction in errors and promotes a streamlined performance. So something big with costX here is that we do like to show those speed improvements and the increased productivity. Here are just a few examples of some clients who have gone out of their way to display the overall impact of iTWO costX on their processes. You can see 3 examples right here. Being able to have all the previously mentioned tools in one software, though, allows for greater productivity in the takeoff, estimating, and reporting processes, and an optimized relationship from one to the next. If you do want to see some more examples of clients who have shown some of this background information, you can see that information at i2costx.com. Some of those key BIM features as we are wanting to highlight and focus in on that. So you can see we do have 5D BIM capability or functionality. So you do have those support major 3D design packages, that advanced viewing tools, easily extracting quantities, world-class BIM estimating features tying into those 5Ds. And then iTWO costX has support for a large variety of files for softwares such as Revit, ArchiCAD, MicroStation, Tekla, SketchUp, and more. Several of those tools, such as transparent and ghost mode, which are going to allow for easier navigation within the models themselves. And then we also have some others, such as like filters, to better prepare your model. And again, it all ties together, allowing you for easier and more accurate takeoff. We're able to import the models and actually retain the data stored in them. And again, this just ties back to allowing for easier takeoff with tools such as model maps, which we'll cover a little bit today, and some more customized BIM takeoff. So iTWO costX and BIM. Just a view within iTWO costX here, you can see here's a side view of a model that we've actually brought in where you can start to see the inside of the model by peeling back some of those layers that you've gotten sent over. Drawing tools like this allow you as the estimator to better understand what the architect has given and provides you the chance to better perform your takeoff. And along with that, it just allows you to get to better understand your model itself, what you were given. So just those additional tools make your life that little bit easier. So a little bit on that traditional process, you'll see a little bit more of a limited iterative process with limited communication between the various parties. So between the architect, the CNS engineer, the M&E engineer, and lastly, that general contractor. Assumptions need to be made during those earlier design parties. and just allows for restrictions in that iterative assumption design imposed on subsequent design parties. So also, you are going to have separate designs. So you're going to see some coordination issues and then effects of change by one party not readily apparent to the others. Estimators are also going to receive incomplete designs. And then also, lastly, you're going to see the cost of late stage design changes. They might actually outweigh the benefits. So whether it be direct costs such as design fees or tendering, or those indirect costs, so time equals finance, temporary accommodation, that lost revenue. So that's a little bit more of what you may have seen in the past, some of those old techniques, that traditional process like I mentioned. However, if you do have integrated project delivery, IPD with BIM, it's going to be a little bit more ideal on what we're trying to work towards. So you can see right here in a perfect world, you're going to have a little more active collaboration between all parties involved, which would be the ideal approach for a project delivery. And this just allows for everyone to have constant communication and allows for quicker and more efficient dissemination of information. Just adding on to that, as you can see, a few of just everything that's tying together in that process. With the ideal integrated project delivery in mind, this collaboration allows for enhanced deliverables to involved parties. So again, just kind of all in one opposed to that linear process that I was showing you earlier. And this all ties together in the result and the end, so you'll be able to see that end of project improvement. So a little bit more of the reality here that you're probably seeing in the past. If you've worked in BIM, you've probably run into these issues at some point. So something like underdeveloped or incorrect object attributes, inconsistent levels of detail from project to project, lack of trust in the quantities themselves extracted from that 3D BIM file. And then what we like to say is garbage in, garbage out. So it depends on what model you're working with, but maybe you're getting new architects or architects that aren't so familiar with the data that you want to get outputted, then you are going to be a little bit more challenged getting that data out. So it could be something like time and money that you are wasting. So typically, you just want to be able to have that optimized process in place where you can have that constant communication between all those parties, allowing just for, again, I said optimize, that being the key word in your process or project. So how does iTWO costX help you deal with BIM issues? Being able to combine all the data you've been given to get that best result is the key factor with iTWO costX. So we do have that combination ability of multiple different file types, whether it be 2D and 3D. If we do have models, we can supplement that lack of information by adding some of those additional attributes to the model schedule of data if necessary. In terms of optimizing measurement by combining that BIM and 2D, which I've previously mentioned here, here you can see the way we've created what we call a drawing set. And this just allows you to review your takeoff in a variety of ways to ensure accuracy. So on the left-hand side, you're seeing a model exported out of Revit, whereas on the right-hand side, you're seeing that 2D view of that same model. And again, you can kind of check that against each other. So it allows for greater comfortability when first utilizing 3D BIM files for quantity extraction. And you can use these drawing sets to establish a greater level of both understanding and confidence in the data you're pulling from the 3D model. So if you are new maybe to the BIM side of things, having those 2D sheets are really just going to give you that added confidence, not only in the data itself, but you can visibly see here exactly where everything is located in it. So again, how does I2 costX help you deal with BIM issues? Allows you to control the information in the model is extracted. So you have full control of the way data is extracted through model mapping. I mentioned that word, those couple words there earlier in the presentation here. You can also decide how you want to interpret that data through the many adjustments you can make, both to the custom formulas, which you can set up yourself, which gives the end user control of how quantities are both grouped, organized, and quantified. So on the bottom right there, you can see an example of us pulling in those doors where we can actually set up those various different formulas depending on, again, our own needs in the project. Continuing on that theme, regardless of the level of detail included in the model, you still can leverage the geometric data to produce quantities. So to summarize, and this is just the ability to do typical 2D measurements off of a 3D model. So in this case, if you do have that limitation from the model, you don't have to sweat it. You still have the options to go ahead and get that best data out. So iTWO, costX, BIM, and 2D working together to create more accurate estimates. It is that 5D BIM capability that everybody's after. In the end, but it is an all-in-one system with iTWO costX, allows users to work both BIM and 2D where required. Can be certainly one or the other or both together. It depends on what you're working with, the project you're working on, and again, who you're getting that data from. So 5D BIM, though, is just that flexibility within iTWO costX is going to grant those users the ability to put together those 5D estimates. And in cases where the model is incomplete or underdeveloped, BIM doesn't have to be abandoned on the project, as workarounds can be used. And then lastly, using 2D and BIM on the same project can help save time and money for the end user. And that's really just the goal there. So we want you to be able to get both accurate takeoffs, accurate estimates, and also not have to spend too much time or money actually getting to that end result. Thank you again for taking the time out of your day to attend and listen to this presentation. If you do have questions, certainly don't hesitate to reach out to us. And we do have a booth, so certainly stop by that booth and discuss with us more details on how we can help optimize that process, or just general information that we can help discuss and share some of those ideas with you. I'll be there. We have a couple other people from this company as well. But again, thank you so much for everything attending, and then also for CanBIM for hosting all of this.